I wanted to start with this very nice quote from the first African female president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who said when she was receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, how she managed to turn her country and her life around. She said, "The size of your dreams must always exceed your current capacity to achieve them. If your dreams do not scare you, they are not big enough." And this really made me think a lot about how I started and how scary it was in the beginning. Because on one side, I had this very big dream and what I wanted to do and what I thought was the right approach. But at the same time, I faced so many obstacles and so many unknowns that at some point I really was, so to say, literally scared. But luckily, after many years of work and lots of effort and dedication, my dream has come true. So we have successfully developed the company, our first product, and additional many things that happened in between that led to the acquisition by one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, Sanofi. And this event has been featured in many different magazines and news outlets all over the world in both international and domestic media. So if I look at the timeline of the 2012, and this is when Irene and I first met, when I came to her, actually it was in 2011, I think. In 2012 was when I founded the company, that's true. So in 2011, I went to Irene and said I had this great idea and I thought that it was worth investing time and effort to. And she was the very first one who encouraged me and coached me and helped me get started in the right direction. And I really thank you very much for that. Since that time, there have been quite some years and lots of things that we achieved, which are very difficult to summarize just on one slide, but I just wanted to mention some of them. We first developed our proprietary technology for discovering the targets of the disease that we wanted to treat and the product. We closed several private funding rounds via 2 friends and family funding rounds, as well as a Series A from a bigger private investor, and secured additional significant funding from various public sources that financed innovative research in industry. We performed several clinical research studies that helped us understand much better how the bacteria that colonizes the skin of humans causes the disease. And this created a unique competitive advantage for our company because we went much farther in the field than is actually known, than others know at the moment. We developed a worldwide first therapeutic immune treatment based on this knowledge, and initiated a clinical trial in the acne patients in September of the last year. We developed additional product candidates to extend our pipeline and are working currently on additional projects. We built a highly effective organization based on agile principles, supported by large networks of experts and collaborators. And on November 30th last year, we were acquired by Sanofi. So what I wanted to talk a bit today is about the challenges that women face in business, in life, and medicine, and how I try to overcome some of these and what I learned from that. For any entrepreneur, starting a company can be a real roller coaster of the emotions, of the physical exhaustion, and on top of that come all kinds of objections from the outside world of what is possible. So this means that we have this great idea and we think that we are going to make some significant impact on the world. But as we start talking about it and planning the road ahead, first of all, we see how many obstacles are on the way to be overcome. And we have even bigger problem convincing other people that it's worth doing and that we are able to do it. And if we are women founders, and in my case, I was alone, I didn't have a team, I didn't have a single experiment yet done, I only had this idea and I thought that it made sense, it was even more difficult. So what is known in the problem in the world of the entrepreneurship in general is that women have also lots of troubles raising funds in general. And especially when it comes to really large funding rounds from the venture capitalists. So only less than 10% of the companies with women founders have received VC funding, according to a survey in 2015. And only 2.7% of the company who had a female CEO. And interestingly, women are also underrepresented in the VC companies, and maybe this is one of the reasons or causes as well, because only 6% of the partners in the VC firms are women. So despite this, it's really interesting that on the opposite side, it was found in the analysis of more than 300 companies over the period of 10 years that was actually analyzed by one US VC firm. They found that the startup companies with female founders performed the companies with all male founders and did 63% times better compared to them. But still, it is difficult to get through this gender bias in the convincing investors that women can manage things, and if they don't have enough male founders on the management teams or on the board, it's considered that it might be more difficult and more risky. The other interesting statistics is also that there are very few women on the boards of the publicly funded, more mature companies. In 2014, Austria had only 13% of the companies with women taking board seats. And this was again contrasted by the opposite statistics that showed that actually all the companies which had at least one woman on their board performed much better, and in some years even 2 times better than the companies who didn't include any women. And this was statistics based on more than 2,000 companies. So Austrian government at least took this seriously enough. So in 2018, in January, Austria introduced a statutory gender quota for the advisory boards of all publicly listed companies with more than 1,000 employees. And they requested that at least 30% of all board members must be female. So since this statutory gender quota came into force, the proportion of women on the supervisory bodies has significantly increased. And last year it reached 28.6%. So there are some movements here happening, which I'm really glad to see. So not only that women face lots of challenges in business environment, but also when it comes to medicine. In this case, I got attracted to especially skin disease, because this is something that people who are affected by it suffer not only physically, but also emotionally, especially in the cases of a more severe acne. Not only these lesions can be extremely painful and difficult to deal with, but on top of that, you can see how a beautiful female can transform into what males would consider a bit less attractive due to the way the face looks like. And more women are trying to fight against the stigma. And this particular person has participated in the interview, and she wanted really to show to the world how this affected her. So not only that we have the problems of the image and societal expectations and pressure of the social media to look good, but even medically, women have problems because they're simply exposed to different fluctuations of the hormones that last much longer and spread throughout their lives, starting from puberty through menstrual periods, pregnancy, menopause, and so on. And in addition to that, they are also more easy target of the bullying, which causes additional levels of stress. Other types of stresses are also connected to skin conditions because of the hair follicles are very, or the pores on the skin are very much connected to the nerves and hormonal systems. So any small changes can impact on that. And in the times when the women are in their younger ages trying to combine motherhood and career, and experiencing higher levels of stress, and on top of that changes in the hormones and so on, this all leads to acne appearing also in later stages of life suddenly, as it happened also to this person on the left. We have also on our website many stories from the acne patients of all the experiences they went through their lives, which are really moving. And in my most difficult times of running the company, whenever I read their stories, this gave me motivation to go and to continue despite the challenge. So what did I do differently, and which factors I found to be crucial for success, or at least they should be there as one of the important points. So one thing is that I, both in science and in business, I was taking or creating, so to say, a different way than what would look on first more simple or easier way. In science, of course, we never know what we are going to discover. So we start doing some experiments and they tell us something, and then we realize that it might be different than what we first assumed. And then we have to revise and rethink what else might be happening and try a different approach and that and that. So it was really lots of zig and zag, but constantly my goal was to find the right answer, no matter amount of extra effort and challenge this took. And the same was on the side of the business as well. I wanted to find a business partner who would, an investor who would share my values and share my goals, and who would be a long-term partner and really in the trenches together with me to make the success happen, even if that meant delaying for funding rounds and looking longer, but in the end it had made a difference. So some of the things that I summarized here just in major bullet points is that came out of this, that one most important thing is to build a team that shares our vision and values. And this was, in my case, extremely important to do both internally and externally. So not only that I was very keen on finding the employees and people that were part of the ORIGIMM working together and sharing the same vision and expecting the same way of working together, but it was also very much applying the same expectations to the external partners and collaborators. So I wanted the people who really wanted to do something good for the world, who wanted to help, who wanted to be on the equal level like partners working together. And this was one of the very important criteria for the selection. The same was when it came to investors. I knew what I wanted and what type of investors I wanted to have to support me. And it was very important for me to align on the expectation, goals, and timelines. It's very tempting to accept the first money that gets offered by somebody. And of course, we get all stressed out and worried that we may go out of business. But it is really worth, if you have, if anybody who is starting a company, if you have time and possibility to delay, to look carefully and talk to many different potential interested parties, and then really settle on the one that you think could help you the best, that could make a big difference. Well, the other thing I realized is extremely important. As an innovator, for me, it was very important to build a science and innovation focused organization that was very flexible and agile in the sense that people who are working together are curious, ambitious, but also humble, interested in learning and experiencing something new. Because we didn't know what we were going to discover around each corner, and it was important not to be scared by the novelty. We also divided all the functions based on the roles, not based by specific titles or positions. All the contributions were equally appreciated and valuable, and the same person could be involved in more than one area of work. Even if they didn't have initially all the experience, we provided opportunity for them to learn. We also developed very highly collaborative organization, people and team who was very proactive, and try to give as much freedom and flexibility, because especially when it comes to creative work, it is extremely important for people to have freedom to organize their work any way they want, to come and go, organize their days around it, and to be free to explore. And this also helped spark additional innovative things in the company. Also, I tried to manage the expectations, but then over-delivered in a sense that I explained what were the challenges, and I tried not to over-promise things, but I worked very, very hard to make sure that whatever I promised, I could even over-deliver. So we were very often exceeding expectations and reaching milestones much sooner than what we originally promised. And I also decided to remain or retain myself as a CEO despite the challenges in the beginning, where I was receiving well-meant advice from some of the colleagues that maybe I would need a CEO to take care of a company so I can focus more on science. But I actually realized that this was a good decision that I remained, because it would have been very difficult to move the company strategically in a direction in which I did if I was a CEO who didn't understand science, because it was really my passion, and this helped me effectively communicate to the external parties also where we were going and why. And I tried as much as possible to lead by the example and with passion. And I think Irene was one of the first ones who recognized this, that she noticed just in the beginning. And I think you told me that once, Irene, that when I asked you, why did you decide that, how did I manage to get a passing market in it? And you said that people could see the passion in my eyes. I was burning with desire to start. So I think this continued throughout the years.
Definitely, I can only approve.
I think I have this ability, maybe somehow, that I believe so much and like so much what I'm doing that it gets infecting somehow. People get attracted to it. And what is interesting is that at the time of the acquisition, we had a team of 20 employees, 70% of whom were female. And in addition to a very large professional network of the people sharing our approach to work and values, among them, we had many people that acted like they were as consultants and like serving other companies as well. But when they were working with us, they were behaving as if they were like employees. It was really amazing to see the change in the attitude, because they would tell the ORIGIMM is special. When we work with you, we feel we're like a part of the family. And the other interesting thing is, like, we were not specifically looking for females. We never had like specific expectations for any job position that it had to be a female. We were just looking for the best candidate. It just happened that we had really lots of smart and capable females, and simply at interviews they did really well. And usually we have like a 6 months trial period to see how people settle, if they work well and so on. They really over-delivered and really surprised how well they became a part of the company, started contributing at a very high level. So that really shows when we give opportunities to women, great things can happen. And finally, I just want to underline that none of this would have happened without the teamwork. So one person cannot move the mountain. So I really want to emphasize how grateful I am for all the great people that I had opportunity to work with at ORIGIMM and outside of ORIGIMM, and how happy I am also that we have found a pharmaceutical a company now as a partner who also shares our dreams and visions, and actually Sanofi's whole motto, which was also heavily promoted by their CEO, is that Sanofi chases the miracles of science to improve the life of patients. And it's like, they couldn't have spelled it better. This is why we also were so happy to be acquired by them.